Hi, everybody. It's Theresa. It's Sunday afternoon, and I just got in from church. We are expecting it to be very, very bitter cold here in Michigan, and it is currently snowing right now. Somebody posted on my wall during the night, one of our group members actually posted something on my wall, and it said, God wants you to use your story for his glory. And I've been thinking about that so much in the last couple of days. Yesterday, I was privileged to talk to one of our group members who had contacted me and then called me on the phone. What a blessing. Pam is her name. And what a joy to be able to share my story with her and to talk to her. And I was telling her about something that happened to me a year ago and how it's really changed my life and how God works in such great ways. It was a couple of days after Christmas. I was shopping at a Salvation Army store that I had never been in before, and I had a whole cart full of things. It was a 5 for 5 sale, and I had a large cart full of really great items. And I was standing in line, and a woman in front of me turned around and she said, "Wow, you must have got a lot of good deals there." I said, "Oh, yeah, it was great." And I said, "I don't know what I would do without Salvation Army and Goodwill." And she says, "Well, why is that?" And I proceeded to tell her, I said, "Well, I've lost a tremendous amount of weight and I dropped a bunch of sizes and I couldn't possibly afford to keep buying clothes as I was losing weight." And she says, "Well, how much did you lose?" And I said, "Well, I lost about 270 pounds. She says, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I've lost about 270 pounds. And she said, "What did you do? Have surgery?" I said, "No." And she took a couple steps towards me and she looked me right in the eyes and she took her finger and she put it up to my face and she says, "I'll tell you what you did. God did this for you, didn't he?" And I just took a couple steps back. I was taken back by it. And I said, well, yeah, he did. There's no explanation. I'm a miracle." And she said, "I have a word for you. God wants you to share this story." And I said, "You don't even know my story." And she says, "No, I don't know your story, but I know that God did something great for you and he wants you to share it." She then said, "What are you doing tonight?" Well, I had plans with Christmas with my family. And she says, "Oh, I want you to come to our group." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not able to, and I live up north and I can't make it this day." And she says, "Okay, well, I just want to leave you with this. I want to leave you with this message that God wants you to share your story." And again, I was taken aback and, "Okay, thanks." And she left. I don't even know her name. And she left. And I proceeded through the checkout and I sat in my vehicle out in the parking lot for a minute. And I'm like, wow, okay, so God wants me to share this story. Awesome. And a few days later, it was New Year's Day. And I made my resolutions for New Year's. And one of them, the number one, was that I would be grateful every single day for this new life and that I would be open to the possibility and the opportunities that I would have to share this story for God's glory. And I kind of left it at that. I went back to work. Everything was fine. The only people that knew my story at that time were my coworkers, my friends, my family, and the people in the area, the small town that I live, because my story was published in December in a little newspaper in town. And so there were people in the community that knew who I was, but that was it. I went back to work, was busy getting students ready, and one day, shortly after that, I get a call from my sister-in-law, and she says, "Oh, hang on, sister. did you talk to somebody from the news? I'm like, no. And she's on her smartphone and she says, well, what about the paper? I'm like, no. And she says, well, you better brace yourself because the Associated Press picked up your story, your article, and it's all over the place. Well, I hung up the phone and I'm like, oh my goodness, God, you're awesome, but what is this? And I proceeded to Google my name. And sure enough, within 5 minutes, every AP newspaper in the country, every AP news station had my story and my before and after pictures. My name was spelled wrong, um, which slowed people down. But in 5 minutes, San Antonio and San Francisco and Idaho and Texas and Georgia and all over the place. My name, my story, my miracle. I was humbled and I was afraid, to be honest with you. Well, that was just the beginning. And as you know, if you've been a follower for a while or if you've been a friend, that this miracle, this story has just spread like wildfire. It's all over the place. It's in multiple languages and multiple venues and newspapers and magazines and TV articles and the Today Show and blogs and websites all over. And I just stand and I have to just stand in humility and say, wow, God, how can you, I, I just marvel at it. I marvel at this Facebook group because there's 1,000+ people from all over the world. I've had opportunities to meet people all over the world in the last year, 1 year. I have people like Vandra in Taiwan and Yogesh in Africa and somebody from Madagascar and the United Kingdom and Catherine in Minnesota and um, Jennifer and all of you have been part of the story. You've been part of my miracle. You've been part of my journey. And I just say today, God be glorified. God be glorified. And I say thank you to him. And I thank you for everybody who's read the story, everybody who's written to me and contacted me and supported me and encouraged me. Because it is a miracle. And I want to continue to share it. But the main thing that I want you to know is that you have a story as well. It might not be the same as mine. Certainly it's not the same as mine. But you have a story that can inspire and bring hope and encourage and help others. The story of how you sat by a loved one's bedside as they were passing, or the way that you endured the hardships of a divorce or raising a wayward teenager. The stories of how people were kind to you and gave you hope. The story of how you survived going back to school when you were 30+ years old. The stories of the way people showed you love and the way you've loved and the way you've forgiven. The story of how you beat addiction, about how God worked in your life, about how others worked in your life. The stories of how you overcame temptation. The story of your journey can bring hope and can make a difference in other people's lives. And so that message today was just a reminder that yes, God wants me to share my story for his glory. But he also wants you to share your story, because regardless of what it is, your story can inspire and heal and bring hope. And may we always be open to the ways that we can help each other, the ways that we can grow, the ways that we can become better, more loving, kind people. Have a great day, everybody, and continue to let your light shine so that others may just be blessed by your life by your presence, by your story. Have a great day.